Welcome back to CIA Declassified. Today we leave the terrestrial mud behind for the cold, silent vacuum of the deep. Imagine it is 1987. The Cold War is cooling, but the hunger for the ultimate high ground is only growing. While the public looks at the space shuttle, the agency and the U.S. Naval Academy are looking at a target 4.3 light years away. They aren't looking for new worlds to colonize. They are looking for a vantage point so absolute that no Soviet secret could ever remain hidden. This is the story of a mission that would outlive its creators. This is Project LONGSHOT. Why name a mission after a desperate gamble? Because that's exactly what it was. The name Project LONGSHOT was chosen to reflect the extreme technical and temporal odds of the mission. Developed between 1987 and 1988 by the U.S. Naval Academy in collaboration with NASA, the title was a literal acknowledgement that the mission was a long shot in every sense, requiring technology that didn't yet exist and a commitment from a government that usually plans in 4-year cycles, not centuries. It was the ultimate long view intelligence gamble. The agency envisioned a probe that could think for 100 years without a single human word. Project LONGSHOT was designed as an unmanned 396 metric ton probe. Unlike previous designs, it was intended to be built at the planned Space Station Freedom, the precursor to the International Space Station, to avoid the massive fuel cost of escaping Earth's gravity. A quote from the 1988 Naval Academy report. The primary objective of Project LONGSHOT is to reach the Alpha Centauri system within 100 years, entering into orbit around the secondary star to conduct long-term astrometric and interstellar medium observations. End quote. The probe's heart was an inertial confinement fusion engine. It would use lasers to ignite pellets of helium-3 and deuterium to create a series of micro explosions, pushing the craft to 4.5% the speed of light. A quote from a NASA representative named Stephen Paddock. We are looking at a 3-order of magnitude leap over current propulsion technology. We aren't just building a ship, we are building a star. End quote. Because Alpha Centauri is so far away, radio signals take over 4 years to reach Earth. The probe required a 300 kilowatt nuclear fission reactor just to power the laser communication system needed to beam data back through the void. A quote from the Project LONGSHOT mission profile. Due to the great distance, positive control from Earth will be impossible. This necessitates that the probe be able to think for itself using advanced artificial intelligence. End quote. The design included a massive flywheel energy storage system weighing over 3 tons to keep the probe's sensors active during the long decades of silent coasting between stars. Project LONGSHOT was unique because it was designed to decelerate. Most interstellar designs were flybys, but LONGSHOT was intended to burn its engines in reverse to enter a permanent orbit around Alpha Centauri. The mission's scientific suite was geared toward astrometry, the precise measurement of the positions and movements of stars, which has significant dual-use applications for long-range ballistic missile guidance and satellite positioning. The total estimated fuel for the mission was 264, I'm not sure if I'm going to pronounce this right, tons, Tonnes, I think it's tons, of helium-3, a substance so rare on Earth that the project's success depended on the eventual mining of the moon. or the planet Jupiter. Internal agency memos from the late 80s suggested that a LONGSHOT probe could serve as a deep space relinquishment point, a hidden cache for data that could survive even a full-scale nuclear war on Earth. The project's AI was designed with self-repair protocols, utilizing sub-miniature robots to crawl the hole and fix damage from micrometeoroids over the 100-year journey. Micrometeoroids. Despite being a naval project, the program's oversight involved the CIA's Office of Scientific Intelligence, looking for ways to use interstellar sensors to detect high-energy signatures from non-natural sources. By 1990, the project was officially mothballed due to the sheer cost of the required infrastructure, including the heavy lift launch vehicles needed to get the components into orbit. In early 2026, DARPA revived the LONGSHOT name for a completely different project, an air-launched uncrewed vehicle designated the X-68A, though many believe the original interstellar research was folded into deeper, blacker programs. A quote from the 1989 NASA conference paper: a post-fusion microexplosion drive with 1 million seconds of specific impulse is the primary enabling technology, end quote. The probe's communication lasers were specifically chosen to use a 0.532 micron wavelength because stars emit very little power in that specific frequency band, ensuring the signal wouldn't be lost in the glare of the suns. The original 1988 design team consisted of 7 midshipmen from the U.S. Naval Academy, whose work was so thorough it remains a benchmark for interstellar mission architecture. Calculations showed that the probe would experience time dilation during its journey, though at 4.5% of light speed, the difference would only be about 36 days over the entire century. Long trip. But when we look at the declassified archive for the original 1987 project, there are some deep shadows, and they aren't in the engine schematics. For instance, in the section titled Payload Integrity Non-Scientific, this file contains the most extensive redactions in the entire LONGSHOT collection. Specifically, the section on external response logic and the over 1,500 pages that are redacted of the passive acoustic interstellar monitoring. Why is the agency hiding the rules of engagement for a probe that wasn't supposed to find anyone? Get ready for the theory of the stellar sleeper. Speculation suggests a 2026 Project LONGSHOT probe is already halfway to its destination. This theory claims the redactions in the launch reports hide a secret 1994 launch that used a covert military shuttle mission to put a sleeper probe into the dark. They argue the missing 1,500 pages are actually a 2026 log of intercepted signals from a civilization living near Proxima Centauri that the agency is keeping classified to prevent a global panic. Some imagine the 1,500 redacted pages have to do with the data security audit, a log that they want to hide, which has a cynical purpose. This theory argues the agency realized a probe at Alpha Centauri is the only place off-world evidence of human origins can be stored. They claim the redactions describe a genetic seed bank hidden inside the probe, and that the missing pages are a list of the elites whose DNA is currently sailing toward the stars. Theorists looking at the blacked-out communication encryption test argue that the agency achieved instantaneous transmission through quantum entanglement. They claim the redactions hide the fact that the agency is already in real-time contact with a probe that arrived at the star system decades ago, and the 1,500 pages are the transcripts of the first interstellar embassy. Gossip suggests that the black bars have to do with interstellar medium analysis, a section that hides the discovery of an existing beacon. This theory posits that LONGSHOT wasn't a mission of discovery, but a mission of retrieval, sent to intercept a non-human signal the agency found in 1986. And the 1,500 redacted pages are the map to where the gentlemen from the stars are waiting. Rumor says that the relativistic drift calculations redactions hide evidence of time manipulation. They claim the agency found that at 4.5% light speed, the probe's AI began to experience temporal echoes, and the missing pages contain news reports that the probe transmitted back to 1988 before it even left the solar system. Some believe the 1,500 redacted pages hide a fail-safe to prevent the probe from being captured. This theory argues the agency installed a nuclear self-destruct that is triggered if the probe detects any non-authorized scans from the Centauri system. And the redactions are the target selection criteria for when to blow up. Speculation persists that the redactions in the optical sensor calibration section prove the probe saw something massive at the edge of our solar system. They claim the 1,500 pages are photos of a barrier or shell that surrounds our sun, preventing us from ever truly seeing what lies beyond it. Fringe gossip argues the redacted sections describe dozens of LONGSHOT probes launched in secret. This theory claims the agency created a surveillance net around every nearby star, and the redacted pages hide the traffic control logs for an interstellar empire we don't even know we have. Whispers from the dark web suggest that the redacted files hide life support feasibility reports, which prove that LONGSHOT was never unmanned. They claim the 1,500 pages are the psych evaluations for 3 volunteers who were digitally uploaded into the probe's computer to serve as its external pilots. A wild theory claims the missing pages describe a breakthrough in dark matter propulsion that was retrofitted to the probe. They claim the nuclear pulse was just a cover story and the probe is actually traveling at 90% the speed of light, having already conquered the galaxy. Conspiracy enthusiasts argue that the passive observation protocol's redactions hide the CIA's partnership with an extraterrestrial intelligence. They claim the pages are the rental agreement for the Alpha Centauri system, and we are paying the rent in human biological data. Lastly, some whispers suggest the redactions are so heavy because they prove Project LONGSHOT was a social experiment to see how many people would believe in a fake mission, while the real money was being spent on underground bunkers right here on Earth. Was Project LONGSHOT a success? Tactically, it was a fail forward. The probe was never built, and the 2026 world still lacks the helium-3 infrastructure to launch it. Strategically, it was a massive success. It forced the agency to solve the problems of autonomous machine learning and long-duration nuclear power. As the 2026 X-68A proves, the DNA of LONGSHOT lives on in every uncrewed vehicle that hunts in the shadows today. As far as technological and operational breakthroughs go, the Century Spy led to breakthroughs that we are only now beginning to understand, such as autonomous reasoning architecture, the first AI systems designed to operate for decades without human input, pulsed fusion drive, theory, the mathematical foundation for inertial confinement fusion that powers current 2026 energy research. Laser mesh communications, advanced methods for beaming data over light years, now used for 2026 secure satellite uplinks. And long life nuclear fission, developing 100-year life reactors that require zero maintenance. Project LONGSHOT reminds us that the agency's reach isn't just global, it's galactic. As the files reveal, some spies aren't looking for a document in a briefcase. They are looking for a signal in the stars, waiting for 100 years for a single word of truth. Thanks for listening, and join us next time as we examine the pipe bone conduction radio. In the 1960s, the agency needed a way to transmit orders without earpieces or wires. We'll uncover the sub-miniature receiver blueprints, the jawbone transmission logs, and the moment the world realized that a simple smoking habit could be the ultimate undercover antenna. Join us next time for the jawbone signal. In the meantime, I'll see you in the archives.